back with our third season of our podcast, Public Safety Future Responders Podcast. And on this season, we will be focusing on the transportation aspects, so covering all your public transportation, from streetcars to trains to boats to pretty much any public transportation. However, we will not be diving more into cars because, like it is, if you own a car, you should know how to drive it. Otherwise, we're moving on. So to start this all off for our first episode of our third season, we will be focusing on trolleys/streetcars. Same name, same vehicle, just two different ways of looking at it. So we're going to be covering into safety. But before we start, I'm Firefighter Tiger, co-host of the podcast with my favorite co-host in the world, back for his second season, Medic Dog.
What is up, everyone? I am back for my second season. I'm super excited to be talking about this topic. So I just can't wait any longer. I'm so excited about it. Let's just dive right into it, Firefighter Tiger. Do you agree with me?
Yes, let's go right on ahead and do it. Starting off with the facts so everybody knows what a streetcar is. Basically, if you live in California, you see them in San Francisco or in Washington, D.C. You'll find them all over the place. They're basically streetcars. They're basically a train that has tracks that go down the middle of the road, who take on passengers, which are basically your inner city transportation vehicles, such as your taxis and everything else that we will get onto.
Another name for that is a trolley.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they have a red trolley at Disney California Adventure Park as part of the Disneyland Resort. So just wanted to throw that out there.
And while we do, let's go quickly diving into a quick definition of a streetcar/trolley, which is basically a tram, is a type of urban rail transit consisting of a rail vehicle either alone or coupled as a self-propelled train through a multiple unit that runs on tramway tracks on urban public streets, some including segments on segregated right-of-ways. Folks, there are a few minor things we will be discussing onto this, so let's dive on into talking about safety. First thing is first, when riding a trolley, please make sure to follow the conductor or the operator of said trolley while it is in motion. If the person tells you to keep your hands and feet inside the trolley at all times, please do that at all times. Pretty much, most of this will be based off the ridekcstreetcars.org site on how to ride safely. So in terms of electric scooter safety, electric scooters are all around downtown Kansas City, and they want you all to be safe. Pretty much when riding an electric scooter near a streetcar route, it is important to stay alert when riding around the streetcar tracks. To safely cross the streetcar tracks, scooter operators should cross at a 90-degree angle. Always stop, look, and listen before crossing the tracks, and whenever possible, find an alternate bike and scooter-friendly streets and routes. Scooters are allowed to be apparently board on streetcars in Kansas City. Just don't leave them behind or on a streetcar stop platform. Be smart, be safe, be ready, respect the rails. Which is one good point. So if you have an electric scooter, be mindful around streetcars and that when crossing, make sure you are crossing at a 90-degree angle, and please also stay within the crosswalk as well.
I also just want to throw out there is also a trolley museum in East Haven, Connecticut, which I went to back when I was very little. It was for my cousin's, one of my cousin's birthdays. I think maybe his first birthday, I think it was. And it was fun, I will tell you.
Anywho, thank you for that little bit of history in trolleys, Medic Dog.
You're welcome, Firefighter Tiger.
And on to the next thing of safety. Just like electric scooters, we also have bike safety. We all know how to ride a bike. If you don't, why do you even own a bike in the first place? That was a pun, folks. Just clearing state points on that. In terms of bicycle safety, when the streetcar tracks are in the ground, whether the streetcar is traveling on them or not, as a cyclist, it is important to stay alert when riding around the streetcar tracks. Also, as well as electric scooters, please make sure the fact that cyclists should be crossing at a 90-degree angle. This also applies to wheelchairs, scooters, skateboards, and strollers. Always stop, look, and listen before crossing the tracks, and whenever possible, find an alternate bike-friendly street and routes. Folks, there around the country where there are streets, there are designated bike lanes and lanes for said bikes, along with electric scooters and that as well, which we will get into bike safety later on in this season, as we all head for warmer weather.
Just obviously, a big safety tip about bikes. Please wear a helmet when you are operating a bike. Please wear a helmet. It is so important to keep you safe.
Right. And moving on to pedestrian safety. Even though we've all seen it, we've all heard stories. But in terms of trolleys, let's remind a few people about pedestrian safety around trolleys, because why not? This is a trolley episode, and we all see trolleys. If we live in California, we probably all have trolleys somewhere around as well. Obey traffic signals. Use crosswalks. Look and listen before crossing the street and the tracks. Unplug and don't text while crossing the tracks. Folks, that is a big one, because if you are distracted, the trolley operator may not see you and may not be able to stop, because like it is, trolleys are also in motion as well, and it takes them a while to stop. If it is going 20 miles an hour, it will probably take 60 feet to stop. Also, as well, as we talk about pedestrians, let's talk about those people that drive said vehicles of roadway hazards. As well as pedestrian safety, there are driver safety. With streetcars all about, especially in Kansas City, there are new parking and driving rules along the streetcar routes. Basically, when in turn, if you do see a streetcar, please be respectful of them as well, even though most of them will have designated traffic lights, because there are some places in the world that trolleys do have their own designated signals, like traffic lights, because they have their own designated lanes, which that does not mean to give you the hint of, I'm going to follow the trolley. Please do not follow the trolleys, because trolleys are slow moving as well. They do not move fast because they're an inner-city transport vehicle. As well. So, any safety advice on trolleys? Streetcars?
You pretty much hit everything, Firefighter Tiger. But again, just when a trolley is going by, just please let them go by before you cross, because they, like Firefighter Tiger said, they may not be able to stop.
Right, and in terms of it, we are going to wrap this first episode up with some more reminders from from Kansas City Streetcars website. Look before you cross. Streetcars are quiet vehicles. Pedestrians are encouraged to listen and look. Basically, folks, I'm going to put it to you this way. Same rules as a train crossing do also apply for trolleys. Even though streetcars may not have traffic barriers like trains do, but they do have safety barriers and protection in place. I know up in Canada, if you've all seen Mighty Machines, there is a trolley episode on streetcar trolley episodes on there, where they do go to where they do have platforms in the middle of the street, and the doors open. If the doors are open and you see the red little stop sign indicator on the door, that is an indicator for you all to stop if you're in a vehicle. Do not go passing a trolley. It is just like a school bus. They do have stop signs as well. Not all of them, but there are a lot of trolley operators that still run streetcars in inner cities that do have safety precautions, such as putting stop sign indicators on them, and as well, along with traffic signals. Also, too, folks, don't mistake if you're in a city where there are signals specifically designated for trolleys, please do not pay attention to the trolley traffic lights. They work completely different than the normal street lights. Yes, they are connected to the street lights, but they do run their own system operating for trolleys only. Please do not confuse trolley signals for your own safety. Also, please, when crossing the street, this is the most basic one in the world, but we need to apparently talk about that. We need to bring this up. Use crosswalks when crossing the street. I'm going to take a quick sidebar. Folks, if you're at an intersection, as long as two roads intersect, it is classified as an intersection. That does not mean, even though, yes, there may not be a crosswalk there, as long as two roads are intersecting, it does count as an intersection, and you do have the same pedestrian right. Even if there is a painted crosswalk or not, as long as it's an intersection, it does count. Or where you see walking signs that indicate crosswalks in the middle of the streets. Please do not jaywalk in front of trolleys because that is very painful and deadly doo-doo. When the streetcars travel at 20 miles an hour, it takes 60 feet for it to come to a complete stop. Never walk in front of a moving streetcar, and only cross the streetcar tracks at the crosswalk when the walk signal is on. Folks, there are also, like I said, even though there are streetcars indicators, there are also pedestrian walk lights that are synced to trolley operations. Please pay attention to those. Don't get stuck. Cross your bike/scooter at a 90-degree angle. To safely cross the streetcar tracks, cyclists should cross at a 90-degree angle. This applies to bicyclists, wheelchairs, scooters, skateboards, and strollers. As well. Anything else you want to quickly jump on?
I just want to add any new trolley drivers or conductors, whatever they're called. If you are new, please do not operate a trolley under the influence of drugs and alcohol because it will not be good.
Right, that goes clearly across all points in the season. Regardless, if you're operating a motor vehicle, please do not drink and drive. Do not text and drive. Do not have drugs and drive. It is just a safety factor for everybody in between. If you are new to trolley operating, make sure you do follow all policies regarding trolleys, and also too, if the company you're working for requires you to do a safety check, please perform that safety check every time you start your shift and end your shift, so that way any repairs that need to be done gets reported right away.
Also, please wait to board and get off a trolley until the doors are fully open and the trolley comes to a full and complete stop.
Right. Please do not be. We're not in an action movie, folks. We're not actors and actresses performing stunts. Yes, we've seen it. We've seen trolleys in the movies, but that does not give us the clear indication to perform them in real life. Anywho, just like bicyclists and cars sharing the road, as bicyclists have their own lanes, please as well share the road. Don't double park. I think that can go for across the board, except for the ships, because you can't double park a ship. If you do, let us know if you can. This applies to all vehicles, including delivery vehicles, to avoid parking on the streetcar tracks. I think that can be clearly said for anywhere trolleys are operating. I know in California there are a lot of trolleys. Folks, if you are operating a delivery vehicle and you are double park, you will be ticketed because you are not only hindering motor traffic, but you are also hindering trolley traffic as well. And that causes a problem because just like trains and buses, trolleys do also have timetables that they also do strive to try to keep. If they're delayed, that just throws off the timetable. Another good point. Don't get stuck. Walk over the streetcar tracks. To safely cross the streetcar tracks, pedestrians should step over the tracks to avoid getting stuck. It's just like at a railroad crossing. Don't step on the track. Step over the tracks, you'll be safe. Step on the tracks, you got a problem. Simple point. Easy there. Dun, 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 dun.
I couldn't have said it any better, Firefighter Tiger.
Stay alert. Unplug before you cross. Yes, big one, big one, big one, big one. Regardless if you're walking, driving, riding, whatever. Look, listen, and unplug from all electronic devices, smartphones, tablets, etc. Anything in your hands, it can wait. If you need to send that text, do it before you cross or wait till you get across. Easy peasy. While crossing streetcar tracks. Which goes into the next point of walk, don't text when you cross the tracks. Don't be a distracted walker. Stop to text or talk. Folks, easy point. If you guys send a text, text before you walk across the tracks, if you gotta take that phone call, let me give you a pointer real quick. Fact of, if you are talking on your cell phone and you got across, tell the person on the other end of the line the fact of, give me a second, and put the phone down to cross. You can still listen to them. Just put the phone down away from your ear so you can hear it, because you may look left, and then look right, but then again, what's coming from the direction you're crossing. So if you're going left, right, left, the person from the left may not see you depending on the condition. And same if you're on the opposite side, and you basically, if you look left, the side to your left is going to come before the one on the right. Easy point. And another point, I think this is easier said than done. I think this covers pretty much almost everybody. Stay cool. Hot wires overhead. Don't climb the poles or touch the wires around the streetcar tracks. The overhead cables that power the vehicles will be live and hot. Do not touch that. Only let the operators of the streetcars / trolleys deal with that. They do have safety precautions in place to handle it. Do not touch overhead wires. Simple point across the board. It goes across everything. If the operator of the trolley streetcar says don't do it, don't do it. Biggest point. So look before you cross. Use crosswalk when crossing the street. Also, too, going back to that for a second, if there is a crosswalk for trolleys, go to the crosswalk and use that to cross the tracks. That is a clear indicator marking for them to to recognize the fact that that is a part where you cross. At a 90-degree angle for your bikes, that is because that way your tires don't get stuck in between the little couple inch space between the tracks, because there is only a couple inches between the pavement or concrete where the track is laid and in between. Share the road, don't double park. Simple point. If you're operating a car, you should know never to double park, because it's illegal across the board. And it goes for delivery vehicles. Yes, I respect the fact you are making a delivery. However, you are impeding traffic, and that will be a violation. Simple point. So, when in doubt, if you are going to make a delivery, don't park on the trolley tracks. It is a danger. It's a hazard, not only for your vehicle and for you, but for the trolley and everybody on board the trolley. So, anything else you want to say?
I think you pretty much got everything, but just also know, just when you're on a trolley, I know this is very simple, but I'm going to say anyways, please do not touch anything unless you are told to do so, or unless you are a driver. Just please do not touch anything.
Exactly. Easy peasy. Now, before we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you all with a little bit of some history on streetcars. Just a smidge, because there will be a whole episode coming out on a little bit of the history of streetcars, as we will dive into later on. Streetcars are vehicles that run on tracks laid in the streets, operate usually in single units, and usually driven by an electric motor. Early streetcars were either horse-drawn or depended for power on storage batteries that were expensive and inefficient. In 1834, Thomas Davenport, a blacksmith from Brandon, Vermont, U.S., built a small battery-powered electric motor and used it to operate a small car on a short section of track. In 1860, an American GF train opened 3 lines in London and 1 in Birkenhead. The system was called tramways in Britain and was established at Salford in 1862 and Liverpool in 1865. The invention of a dynamo generator led to the application of transmitted power by means of overhead electrified wires to the streetcar lines, which subsequently proliferated in Britain, Europe, and the United States. The cable car, the inventor of Andrew Hawley, was introduced in San Francisco on the Sacramento and Clay Streets in 1873. The cars were driven by an endless cable running in a slot between the rails and passing over a steam-driven shaft in the powerhouse. The system was well adapted for operation on steep hills and reached its most extensive use in San Francisco and Seattle. The cars operated more smoothly than did early electric cars, but they could run only at a constant speed. Breaking or jamming up the cable tied up all the cars on the line. Beginning about 1900, most cable trackage was replaced by electric cars. But the Seattle lines lasted until the 1930s, and a portion of the San Francisco system continues in operation in the 21st century. So there's a little bit of history as we wrap up our first episode of our Season 3 Streetcars, Safety Lines. Please be safe, be smart, watch out, don't be stupid. Simple point. I will end that with that point.
I couldn't have agreed any better.
So, folks, this is Firefighter Tiger.
And Medic Dog.
Wishing you all a good day, good wellness. Be safe, be smart, look out, be safe, and we will see you all on another safety video. Folks, be safe, be smart, don't be stupid, and you all have a good one. See you all next time.